In this video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about the Chopta Trek. The trekking company we used was called Mapping the Himalayas. Our journey began around 6 a.m. in Rishikesh. We were picked up at our hotel and embarked on a 6 to 7 hour drive up into the mountains. We made 2 stops along the way, one to a Hindu temple built over the river, and the second at Devprayag, the place where 2 glacial rivers, Alaknanda and Bhagirati, meet to form the sacred Ganges. Let me warn you that this drive is not for the faint of heart. Steep, narrow roads with blind curves and many obstacles right in the middle of the street make this journey quite terrifying. Our destination for the first part of the trek was a small village called Sari Village. But don't let the name fool you. This has nothing to do with saris. Starting our trek.
2.1 kilometers straight up, right?
We really didn't spend any time in the village. Once we got there, we took off on our trek. The starting elevation is 2011 meters, or close to 6,600 feet. Luckily for us, this portion of the trek was only 3 kilometers because we were basically headed straight up. Well, not straight up. There were some switchbacks along the way. We're walking all the way across those peaks to behind that big summit over there. It's going to be a big day tomorrow. Hi, sweetie. When we got to our destination, a point that was above a lake, tents were already set up, awaiting our arrival. These are permanent tents that stay at this site. We watched the sunset through the fog. Then one of the locals made us a delicious garwali dinner. Here's where we're camping tonight. Look at these amazing views. One thing to note here, on this trek, unlike others, you will not be passing through villages. I usually carry a fanny pack with a Polaroid camera to take a photo and give it to the children along the way, as well as some LED flashlights. So this extra pack and weight was completely unnecessary. The next morning, after having a cup of chai tea, we headed to Deoria Tal Lake to watch as the sun lights up the peaks of the Indian Himalayas. It was really quite a spectacular sight. The elevation here is around 8,000 feet. The Himalayas are reflecting on the lake. So beautiful. Achilles is making breakfast. Yum. After breakfast, we headed back on our trekking journey. We hiked 16 kilometers through a lush rhododendron forest. Even though we were there in November and the flowers weren't in bloom, the forest was still quite magnificent nonetheless. Another thing to mention is after spending the one night in the tent, and then doing the 16-kilometer hike, you'll be meeting your driver in the car again to take you to where you'll stay for your second night. So that being said, you really don't have to pack much at all in your backpack.
Thorns on my leg. It's very steep. I love these trees. Look how pretty. Surrounded by this beautiful bright green bamboo. Oh, I'd love to have some of that bamboo. And every once in a while we get a view.
Let me get a quick fix.
Back down here.
I love being in nature, especially when I'm hiking or backpacking. I tend to stay in a constant state of awe and amazement from everything I see and hear around me.
Just chilling for a minute next to my buddy.
I like to take a step back from the crowds and conversations so I can really immerse myself into my surroundings, from the crunching sounds of leaves beneath my feet to the full array of birds chirping in the trees. This is where I am most at peace. This is my form of prayer and my practice of mindful meditation. I take in everything around me, and I'm left with a feeling of gratitude, grateful for all that God has put onto this earth.
Beautiful tree. Look at that. So amazing. It's our little friend that came with us on the trek. He's coming with us the whole way. Hi, sweetie. He found a porcupine quill.
Yeah. You know, people make from this porcupine tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen?
Wow, tattoos.
Yeah.
Indian mushrooms.
Mushroom. Have you?
There's some more.
So pretty. Look at that cool tree. Wow, I wonder what lives inside of that.
As we neared the end of this portion of the trek, it did rain for a bit, but luckily we were protected from the canopy of the trees and didn't even feel one single drop.
There's a lot of stairs and a lot of uphill climbing. These are big steps.
When we made it to the road, our driver was waiting to take us to our next destination, which was a few kilometers from the Chopta village. This place was basically a conglomeration of homestays and tents for trekkers.
Tomorrow we're going up there, top of that. This is the start of the Chopta Trek, going up to the main peak and going up to the highest Shiva temple in the world. And it's going to probably be straight up. I just love all these long grasses coming from the rocks and the moss. It's so pretty.
Oh, you got a picture of the town?
Now we're headed up switchbacks. There's the road we took in. You can see a car on it right now. Very narrow. And the little town we stayed in. Everything else is just covered in fog.
Today we're going 5 kilometers up to reach the summit of Chandrashila, which translates to Moon Rock. The elevation here is 13,123 feet. This portion of the trek was truly magical. From the misty fog blowing over the cliff's edge to the rocky slopes, the long grasses and the colorful plants all make this trek absolutely spectacular. The guides like to tell you how easy this trek is, but that's because they're well acclimated to the elevation and they trek almost daily. I'd say it's moderately difficult because of the uphill climb and the high altitude. So here we are at the top of Chandrashila, a whopping 13,123 feet above sea level. I know from past experiences that my limit for elevation is just about 10,500 feet. So for this trip, I took acetazolamide, or Diamox, to help prevent altitude sickness.
Don't take our shoes there, huh?
Don't what? Take off shoes?
If you go in.
You like this trek?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
But the fog ruins everything. Everything.
It comes in and out.
Even with the medication on board, I did start to feel the effects of the altitude on my way up, so I knew that I'd have to limit the amount of time I spend up there. It was a bummer that the fog covered the view of the Indian Himalayas from up here. I hear the view is quite a sight when present, but I was not disappointed. I love the mystical allure that the fog gives off. After summiting Chandrashila, it was time to go to the Tungnath Temple, which is the highest Shiva temple in the world. Tungnath means Lord of the Peaks, and it sits at 12,800 feet. The temple is closed for half of the year due to weather, and it just happened to close the day before we arrived. We were able to walk around the outside of it, though.
It's the same little river.
Sure.
Too big pressure.
Namaste.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Which country you come from?
U.S.
USA.
Yeah. Can I video you?
Where you live? USA.
California.
California City.
Near San Francisco.
Yes.
Yeah.
How to do you go to trek?
It was amazing. It was so pretty.
Oh, la la.
Yeah. What are you making?
I'm making the black lentils.
We had lunch near the temple, then headed back down 5 kilometers for our last night at the homestay before making the long journey back to Rishikesh the next morning. Overall, I give this trek a 5 out of 5, and our trekking group, Mapping the Himalayas, also gets a 5 out of 5. I hope you found this video on the Chopta Trek helpful. Let me know in the comments if you plan on doing this trek yourself. Ciao for now.